This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post, coming to you from the Fort Hall School of Government in Nairobi, Kenya. On this show, we take a look at some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning, but we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 25th of October 2022, and I am AX.
I am MC Squared.
And I am GK. In case you missed the headlines, here they are. The Daily Nation, how he died. The Standard, tough questions after journalists killing. The Star, Yala bodies, IPOA links police to 112 disappearances. And the People Daily, 4 in CS list risk rejection. So before we delve into today's headline, Mr. MC Squared, why don't you give us your submission for the day?
Thank you. Today I'm going to shoot straight.
Do it.
RUTO's visit to Kambani on Sunday seemed more political than hustler projects. When we thought politics should now take a backstage, Rigiji and RUTO had to take a jab at Kalonzo. In my opinion, this is not surprising at all.
Yeah.
President RUTO always plans ahead of time. Ni kujipanga, my friend. There is no race he doesn't lose. When RUTO said they had given Kalonzo a job that he refused, some thought that RUTO is trying to eliminate opposition against him. Was it a genuine job offer to give to the opposition leader if Gachagua had told us they want to eat first? I don't think so. But I would like to offer an alternative.
Okay.
I think the bigger picture here is that President RUTO is already planning for 2027. And he knows that the only person standing against him is Kalonzo. This so-called job offer was not random. RUTO is aware of Kalonzo's strength in the Kamba nation.
Yeah.
If Kalonzo starts now, he will be a threat to RUTO.
Maybe his only threat.
And we must not forget that RUTO himself started campaigning 2 days after his boss Uhuru was sworn in.
He did, yeah.
Is that why Kalonzo's visit to Kisumu and Homa Bay seemed to scare Rigiji? Because he is trying to copy their strategy by starting his campaigns just after the election. In fact, I think RUTO is already putting his political pieces in Ukambani together. Is that why the Kamba nation got 3 CS positions? Yet they only gave RUTO 250,000 votes. This is half the positions that Gema got, and Gema gave RUTO 3 million votes. Almost 12 times the Kamba vote. Any accountant would look at this math and tell you that Gema got a bad deal.
The math is not mathing.
In fact, the Kamba nation should have received a board member position in a dam construction authority. But what is my point here? If you put the 3 CS positions given to the Kamba nation together with Kalonzo's job offer, someone is trying to fix Kalonzo. And if it is true that Kalonzo refused a government job, is this a way to isolate him from his constituency? Is the next step for RUTO to raise a Machakos politician to be the next Kamba kingpin?
Maybe, actually.
But if Kalonzo is RUTO's target, then we want to share an observation with you, Bwana Wiper. For William RUTO, opposition is the short term. 2027 is the long term.
Absolutely.
And this will be RUTO's undoing. Our advice to Kalonzo is take up the opposition role and do it well. Because while RUTO is focusing on 2027, you must focus on the small details that matter now. This is how you might inherit Baba and become the man to beat next time. But I could be wrong.
You know, Mr. MC Squared, you know what they say about great minds?
They think alike.
They think alike. I want to continue on your trend, okay? This weekend, Kalonzo Musyoka said that once Baba returns to Kenya, Azimio will embark on developing a shadow cabinet to hold RUTO's government to account. And while we agree that this is a good idea, it is only the first step. They need to strategize long term. A shadow cabinet is a key feature of UK politics. It consists of a group of senior opposition leaders who have the responsibility of holding the Prime Minister's government to account.
Yeah.
They stand as an alternative government. For example, if Juguna Dungu is appointed as the Minister for Treasury, Raila would appoint a leader from Azimio to be the shadow finance minister.
Yeah.
The shadow finance minister will even develop an alternative budget. Simply put, everything done by the ruling government is mirrored by the opposition.
Yeah.
Now, just for your information, the UK has had 2 prime ministers in 45 days.
Thereabouts.
And that is because of the work of the shadow cabinet managed to do. But this is not a new concept to Kenyan politics. In fact, in the 1990s, it was normal. Even in the 1990s, under the Moi regime, they existed. In 98, for example, as the official leader of opposition, Kibaki developed a 20-man shadow cabinet. David Mwiraria was his shadow finance minister.
Yeah.
The question is, does it work? And to that we say, maybe. See, setting up a shadow government is low-hanging fruit for Azimio. It will help them establish a presence in national discourse. But it will only work if Azimio gets its act together. And in order to achieve this, we have a suggestion. It is our humble opinion that for the opposition to succeed, it must be killed. Now, guys, hear me out. Author and CEO Lisa Bodell once stood in before a group of big-time executives in a manufacturing company and asked them to do one thing: kill their own company. By this, she asked them to put themselves in the mindset of their biggest rivals and focus on the weaknesses of their own company.
Yeah.
This would give people the opportunity to objectively look at the problem their company faces without fear of crossing the company line.
Yeah.
And maybe this is what Azimio needs to do. In order to be a real threat to government, it must be killed in order to be reborn.
Amen.
It needs to put itself in the mindset of Kenya Kwanza and understand what they would do to destroy Azimio. Therefore, we want to suggest some homework for our friends at Azimio. Here you go. Identify 10 weaknesses and work hard to fix them. And since we are a God-fearing and generous school of government, we shall suggest 3 free of charge.
Generous indeed.
1. Azimio is not organized. We saw this during the election, and this has not changed. Mark our words. RUTO will use this to his advantage. As long as you continue to be disorganized, you shall bend to the will of RUTO's government.
True.
2. Apply pressure and don't stop.
Yeah.
If you want to be the opposition, you must rise to the occasion. For every statement the government releases, you must release 4 in return. Be relentless. What happened to that Pakistani journalist? When will the price of unga go down? And why are Kenyans dying from drought? So long as Azimio gives Ruto's government space, they will not be a successful opposition.
Yeah.
And 3, find a purpose and stick to it. We like to call this the why. Azimio has told us that they want to be the opposition. But why? It is a thankless job with no pay. The people will thank you one day and stone you the next day. Our suggestion is to steal what makes RUTO strongest. Steal the hustler nation and make it your own.
Yeah.
Being a voice for the weak will give you drive and purpose, and this will be easier than you think. With a CS list worth billions, Ruto's cabinet has already alienated the hustler base. Capitalize on this.
Yes.
Dear Azimio, you have your homework to do.
Now, before you start doing your homework, allow me to make my submissions, please. So, in the first month as president, an opportunity has arisen for President William Ruto to ensure that he will have a majority of the IEBC. And with this majority, Ruto can shape our entire electoral system to benefit him for the next 6 years, perhaps even longer.
Okay.
Allow us to unpack what this means. According to Section 5 of the IEBC Act, the IEBC will have 1 chairperson and 6 commissioners. Section 7 of the Act states that every member will serve a single 6-year term.
Yes.
6 months before the 6 years are
Whoa,
up,
okay,
the replacement process shall begin.
Those are many sixes.
Yes. Now, why does this matter? In early 2023, the terms of the chairperson Chebukati and commissioners Gulie and Molu who were appointed in 2017, come to an end.
Yeah, they do.
That is why, over the weekend, President RUTO gazetted vacancies for their replacements. This means that RUTO gets to fill 3 out of the 7 slots. But MC Squared, please check my math. 3 out of 7 is not a majority, yes? MC Squared?
No.
Thank you. No. This is a problem for the hustler-in-chief because RUTO cannot afford to have the majority of the IEBC hostile towards him like they were in the 2022 election.
No.
Yeah.
Why? MC Squared has already told us that William RUTO plays the long game.
Very long game.
And the IEBC isn't useful only for presidential elections. They are responsible for every election at every level from MCA to governor. And throughout the election process, the IEBC is there from nomination to the declaration of results. And the 4 dissenting commissioners may frustrate RUTO's electoral ambitions at every level. So what are RUTO's options? In our view, he can either buy them out or get them out. Might this be why, barely a month into his presidency, UDA Senator John Methu from Nyandarua began the formal process to remove the 4 dissenting commissioners? We must note that this is 5 years before their terms were supposed to end in 2027. If they are removed now, President RUTO will have 7 seats to fill, or the entire IEBC. Remember Section 5 of the Act. And since the IEBC monitors every election from nomination to declaration of results, this means that RUTO can shape every election for the next 5 years to his benefit. And this is not a far-fetched reality because elections happen all the time for a number of constitutionally anticipated reasons. Elections can be called because the sitting MP was nominated to cabinet, as in the case of Aden Duale, Alice Wahome, and Morkamen. Elections can be called because the sitting MP ascends to heaven. This is what happened on 4th March 2021 when 8 by-elections were held on the same day because MCAs, MPs and senators had passed in 2020. Indeed, as long as the seat is empty, an election will be called. And if RUTO is given the opportunity to influence who sits in the IEBC, as has happened with the legislature, the judiciary, the executive, what do you think will happen? Do you think he will be a good leader and appoint men and women who are good for country? Or will he be a good politician and appoint men and women who are good for him? And if he does, what do you think will happen to country? Will country survive this? Recent history suggests not. In the US, decades of political appointments to independent offices have polarized the country simply because these political appointments do not govern for the good of country, but rather for the sake of party. These are just our thoughts, informed by history and political scheming. The verdict, however, is yours. Is this the future that awaits country with a RUTO-designed IEBC?
That's a good question. But if I was William RUTO and the opportunity...
grab it.
Grab it, yeah. So the aim is for people to hold him to account. Anyways, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to judge the headlines for you. We ask ourselves 3 questions. Is the headline topical or speculative? Is it repetitive or groundbreaking? And finally, is it thoughtful or just plain lazy? So let me repeat the headlines for you before we get into them. The Daily Nation, how he died. The Standard, tough questions after journalists killing. The Star, Yala bodies, IPOA links police to 112 disappearances. And the People Daily, 4 in CS list risk rejection. So what I will do is, first and foremost, I will throw away the People Daily.
Because it's old news.
It's old news. We have now, it's not 4, it's 1.
Right now we just have the 1.
It's just the 1 that we, as of we speak, we have 1 person who's been rejected. That
Ms.
is
Penina Malonza.
There you go. So PD have taken power and thrown that away. I don't think we shall trash any of the headlines really, but which one do you believe wins it today?
Daily Nation.
Daily Nation,
how he died.
Yeah.
How
Very
you
simple.
It's very simple. If I was standing by a newsstand and was about to buy a newspaper, I would prefer the Daily Nation.
Very topical.
There are
Very-
so
yeah.
many questions about that Pakistani journalist.
But the
the
most
math
important-
is not mathing.
The math is not mathing.
The good thing is that even if you didn't know who died, it's very catchy. You want to know.
Who is this that died? Yeah, it's very good. Very good.
Okay, so we have a winning headline from the Daily Nation, and I shall park the rest and not throw them away. Okay, now moving on to the winning cartoons, where we also have a 3-part criteria that we use to break them down for you. We ask ourselves, are the cartoons humorous or dry? Are they satirical or pessimistic? And finally, are they effective or just plain lazy? So, Mr. MC Squared, we shall begin with you taking us through the Daily Nation.
The Daily Nation, I have CS nominees who look like hustlers when we already know they are billionaires. One and the only mythical Inturi is a Bonda Boda rider.
With his
Aisha
helmet on the seat, not
Instead
on
of
his
wearing it.
Exactly. Aisha and Alice Wahome are Mamambogas. While Mudavadi, Duale, and Murkomen are saying phone chargers, batteries, SIM cans.
And also Muturi.
And also Muturi is here.
Yeah.
There is a lady here who is selling Dawayamende.
That's Moses Kuria, isn't
I
it?
think.
Yeah.
And see the person next to him with the bananas. Is that Alfred Mutua?
It's a very bad drawing of him, but I believe so. It's a very interesting cartoon. I think it's just continuing the whole trend of these hustlers who were nominees, and they were worth, I don't know how many billions, very many billions of shillings.
It ranged from 100 million to 4 billion
To 4
at
billion.
the top. Yeah.
Yes, the lowest was 100 million, highest 4 billion.
But we also have to admit, to put a hustler president in State House requires rich hustlers.
It does.
By the way, that is very true.
Yes.
Okay, so we shall park the Daily Nation as we move to the Standard. AX.
All right,
Why don't
so-
you take us through it?
With pleasure. The focus of this cartoon is a washroom that is decorated with the UK flag. In the toilet roll holder, we see tissue paper with 3 terms. We see energy cost, NHS, which stands for the National Health Service, their version of the NHIF, and tax cuts. First in the toilet bowl is Boris Johnson, and then he's flushed down the loo. Then we have Liz Truss, who is flush down the loo. And finally in the bowl is Rishi Sunak. As we know, last week Truss resigned as Prime Minister after a record 45 days as Prime Ministers.
Yeah.
And last night, I believe yesterday, Sunak won the contest for Prime Minister.
Yes, and he was officially appointed today.
Today by
So
King
now the question I
Charles.
have is this last part of the comic strip. Are they saying that the British are going to flush him down too?
Potentially. So the current state of British politics right now is a little bit unstable, owing to the fact that there is a lack of confidence in the executive and its ability to carry out its mandate. There's a lack of confidence among the people in the government because Liz Truss was not elected by them. Neither was Rishi Sunak. So there's this absence of democratic legitimacy. Yeah.
For me, all I need to know is Kenya now has a Prime Minister in Britain.
The question I'm asking myself is the sun finally setting on Great Britain?
The sun
And
will
are
never
we
set.
looking at a new Britain?
That's a big question to ask.
a
We'll
big
allow the people to answer this. So allow me to conclude with this final cartoon from the Star. Okay, so this is by Celeste, not our friend Ozone. So William Ruto, it looks like, is riding, I don't know if it's a mule or a horse.
It's not a horse. It's a donkey.
It's a donkey.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's riding a donkey
It's a cult. He looks like Jesus.
called Ukambani, yes?
Yes.
So they're riding the donkey, and on one hand, Ruto is holding a carrot in front of the donkey. The donkey is tired. The Ukambani donkey is tired and looks like it's about to collapse. But on the other hand, he's using a rungu to really piga the back of the donkey.
Yes.
And he's saying, stay focused on what is ahead. I think this is very related, MC Square, to
What you just
Yes.
said.
to your submission about the way that Ruto is maneuver. He's both romancing and aggressing.
Yes.
And I think it's an interesting cartoon.
I think after he successfully married Gam, it's time to come back.
Okay, so there you have it. So we have our 3 cartoons. We've not thrown any. I think we shall toss the Standard because it's not Kenyan. So between the Star and the Daily Nation, do any of these give us our winning cartoon?
Tossing the Standard.
I'm going to say no.
I don't know. I was leaning the star. I guess MC squared is the tiebreaker. What do you say?
Let's give it to the star.
Hey,
All right, there you have it. The
democracy.
star gives us our winning cartoon. So on a headline where we have, on a day where we have the winning headline from the Daily Nation and the winning cartoon from the Star, I would like to leave you with this quote from the book, The Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. It says this very simply: it is difficult to understand the universe if you only study one planet. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also on your TV screens. You'll find us on Pang Free to Air, GoTV, and Star Times. Have a beautiful evening.